Hello, dear viewers. Today I'm going to be talking about the bridge collapse in the town of Morbi in Gujarat and about other bridge collapses that have happened in India and about the general state of infrastructure in India. Let's begin. First, we'll discuss the Morbi Bridge collapse. It happened last week on 30th of October and has so far resulted in the deaths of 135 people and caused 180 people injuries. It's a very tragic accident, and an investigation has been launched by this state government and I think by involving the central government to investigate how it collapsed and whether there were any irregularities, any corruption involved that resulted in this accident. The Morbi Bridge was built by an Indian, uh, the local Maharaja at that time, and the reason I'm saying this is because when people say it was built by the British, they often think it was just built by actual Britishers and to their own construction, which is not true. It was built by an Indian at the time of British rule. So the credit goes to Indians for this bridge that lasted 140 years, and not to Britishers. And I'm also going to talk about other bridge collapses that have happened in the last few years and try to understand how these have happened and what were the consequences, was there, and what the investigation showed, and how politicians reacted to it, which political parties were responsible, and try to find some commonalities to it to see if we can prevent these accidents from happening in the future. So this is the Morbi Bridge. The day after it collapsed, it was not a driving highway bridge. It was a walking bridge, kind of not a suspension bridge, but yeah. We can see that it has completely broken, and uh, one of the reasons that people suspect is because it had a lot of people, a huge crowd on the bridge, which caused it to collapse. But we aren't sure for certain, so we have to wait for the investigation before we come to conclusions. The Morbi Bridge was given to the Oreva Group, which under which the company Oreva House comes under, for renovation, and it had uh, claimed that it had finished the renovation and that it was fit to use on the day of the Gujarati New Year. They wanted it open at that time, and some people have said that this giving the contract to this company, this group, was a wrong move by the state government because this company has no experience in building bridges or any infrastructure in general. So some people think that it was in case of corruption. Again, so far we have no proof of that, but that's just the allegation at the moment. So in West Bengal, in the last few years, there was the Majarhat Bridge collapsed and the Vivekananda flyover collapsed. Both of these are in Kolkata, and both these accidents caused large loss of life. And the state government at that time did do an investigation. So I'll just talk about what they found. And there have also been reports that repairs were hastily completed with claims that a month's work was done in one night. And I want to get back to this topic of hasty completion of infrastructure projects in India in general. Then in 2016, the Vivekananda flyover collapsed, and the investigation had the construction company IVRCL charged with murder. The police detained five IVRCL officials in Kolkata and two in Hyderabad and sealed off IVRCL's local official office in Kolkata. The firm called the collapse an accident, with one IVRCL official describing it as an act of God. The shares of the company fell 11.7% the day after the disaster, and yeah, the company claimed that the design of the flyover was done by a reputed consulting firm of Kolkata. One investigation committee found that there were defects in multiple aspects of the flyover construction, building design, construction, raw materials, and supervision. So we can see that for both of these, um, construction was a problem. Although the investigation of the Maharashtra Bridge collapse did not find any uh, company or any officials charged or arrested, while the Vivekananda flyover investigation did. And what's interesting is that the Vivekananda flyover collapsed in 2016 and the Maharashtra Bridge in 2018. So we can see that while the state government at that time was focused on investigating bridge collapses in 2016, but in 2018 they do not have the same urge or energy to do so. I'm not sure why. In Maharashtra, there was a Mumbai railway station collapse due to a stampede and a Mumbai foot overbridge collapse. The stampede occurred at a railway station in Mumbai. At least 23 people were killed and 39 injured. The police investigation was found that the overbridge was overcrowded, and due to rain it got slippery too. This caused panic and resulted in the stampede. A case of accidental death was registered at the Dadar police station, and it was basically just overcrowding. And yeah, I have to make a correction. There was no collapse of the railway station. There was just a stampede. And for the Mumbai foot overbridge collapse, there was a part of the foot overbridge connecting the north end of the railway station to another lane collapsed and fell on the road. Six people died and at least 30 were injured. The investigation by the BMC and the Central Railways found that in the preliminary report that there was an improper structural audit of the foot overbridge. It also noted that the officers had no records of any supervision or inspection during its repair or audit. The structural engineer who audited the bridge and two officers of the bridge department of the BMC were arrested, and the complaints against them were filed by the police. But again, I can't find any information about how the case progressed, similar to the other investigations. So, yeah, now I therefore, for the sake of finding some, to understand something from these accidents, I presume that there is some truth to some of the charges and arrests made in these investigations, even though none of them have been proven in court. So, this brings me to my closing remarks. So, what is the commonality in all of these cases? Accidents. As far as the Morbi case goes, the initial reports said that it was reopened too early. The chief officer of the municipality said that Oreva threw the bridge open to visitors without notifying us, and therefore we couldn't get a safety audit of the bridge conducted. And that there was no certificate of fitness given to Oreva from the local civic authorities. So uh, we can see that Oreva is being heavily blamed for it. And a five-member committee was formed by the government of Gujarat to investigate this accident and determine the cause. 9 people, all associated with Oreva Group, were arrested and subject to investigation. And they have been presented before court. So we have to see how the court case goes and how the investigation proceeds to see if anyone will be held accountable for it and if indeed there was negligence. So this is somewhat promising to me, the speed at which investigation has begun, and in as we can see in the Kolkata collapse and the Mumbai collapse, the investigation didn't hold anyone responsible for it. Nobody was jailed, although in 2 of the incidents people were arrested, but the case simply never went through. It's just a problem with the Indian judiciary, where cases go through very slowly, and that's a separate topic for a separate video. So that's basically the issue now. We need to make sure that when such accidents happen, that those responsible for it are arrested, charged quickly, and they are presented to court very early, and that the case is resolved one way or another very fast, so that people don't waste time and get justice quickly, and we can learn how to prevent these cases from happening in the future. Because only when we know what the actual mistakes were and who was responsible can we prevent these accidents happening in the future. And like I had said, I want to talk about the increase in pace of India's infrastructure building. India is right now building infrastructure at a very high pace, with millions of kilometers of roads being built, railway lines, airports have been built in not just the major big cities but also in the smaller cities. So we can see the Modi government and the local state BJP governments and even some non-BJP state ruled governments are putting focus on infrastructure, which is good, but if they go through too fast, they might overlook some of the safety necessities for these infrastructures. So I hope they don't do that, and they can build fast but safe and sturdy infrastructure both. So yeah, that's what I want to say. If you like that video and want to see other videos like this, click on this playlist. If you want to see my previous video, click here. If you want to see the sources I used for this video, click the links in the description below. Thank you for watching. Monday.